been a while since we've checked out a Jazzmaster. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. This is another guitar a viewer of the show asked me to help them get from Japan as part of my forwarding service. And it's also part of the Made in Japan 60s traditional set. So just a couple of days ago, we talked about that really cool Sherwood green metallic Stratocaster that was offered on 3 different models. This time we're talking about another limited edition color from that series. But if that last color wasn't crazy enough for you, I think you might like this review and demo just a little bit more. This is the competition stripe Jazzmaster. So it's really hard to see because you got this giant tremolo system in the middle of it, but you've got a blue racing stripe on the front, which just makes it a little bit cooler. It's not like the old vintage competition stripes that go along your comfort carve. And that design continues on to the bottom, but strangely not the back. It's a little bit of a letdown, but you know, it makes it unique and gives it some personality here. The blue stripe with the off-white pickup covers almost gives this guitar a light blue color in person, so that's kind of an interesting effect, probably unintentional. It's got a decent weight to it, that's for sure. And I really like the wood grain going on here at the 14th fret, and then if you come up here to the 8th fret, it also has a very similar thing going on. Just something to make this example a little bit more unique. But the other interesting thing about this model is it is a full-on Jazzmaster. You got the Jazzmaster pickups, you get the rhythm lead circuit, all the things you want if you want a traditional Jazzmaster. And it's a full-on gloss finish with matching headstock. Looking pretty snazzy. So as part of this series, they actually had 5 different models. There's the Stratocaster, Jazzmaster, and Telecaster that were done up in this all-white finish with blue competition stripe running down the center. But then, if you're feeling a little bit extra saucy, there's a P-Bass and a Mustang available in the same white, but they have the red competition stripe. But if this style is not for you, also within the MIJ traditional 60s series, they've got an ice blue with block inlays Jazzmaster, that's pretty sweet, and a sunburst Jaguar. Now prices vary on each of them. The Jazzmaster is actually a little bit more expensive because of some of those features we had just talked about, but over there it's 154,000 yen, which keep in mind, import duties, taxes, shipping, getting them to the United States definitely costs more than that. So whether or not it's worth it to import one, I'll leave that up to you, as exchange rates vary daily. And at that price, what does it come with? Your typical Fender Japan gig bag. Nothing too crazy. You get your warranty pamphlet and your tremolo arm, but that's about it. So outside of our crazy color here, there's not really too much else to talk about outside of its unique specs. So let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench to take an individual look at all of those to learn more about it. Let's check out the insides of this Jazzmaster. We'll start with our pickups. As far as the name for these, they call them the Vintage Single Coil Jazzmaster pickups. Each of them have a cover that's secured by 4 screws on the outside, and the pickup itself just kind of looks like a big single coil, and they utilize a foam block to help set the adjustment. And then the 4 screws that secure the cover also help compress that block if you need the pickup lower or higher. And the bridge pickup is pretty much just more of the same. And within the circuit, that bridge reads about 7k ohms, and the neck position about the same, 7.09. Now when you activate the rhythm circuit, it actually changes it to 17.56. And then that makes the 3-way toggle switch no longer work. Your volume and tone over here no longer do anything. It's because you're using these controls. So the up position puts that on. And then these things are essentially pots, but just mounted sideways. Well, not essentially, they just are. So instead of the pot being mounted through the pick guard, it's actually mounted underneath it. So you just get these circles with a little bit showing up the top that allow you to adjust the volume and the tone of just the neck pickup. So if you need instant jazz tones, that's what you do. You go over here and it bypasses whatever these other positions are, even if you're on the bridge pickup. So other than that, your 3-way toggle switch is pretty basic. And we have 1 meg CTS pots in here. And there's a look at your capacitor. And we've got full shielding paint within the cavities as well as shielding on the back of the pick guard. Here is our traditional Jazzmaster bridge. It's not the Mustang one like a lot of modern Jazzmasters get. Then we have just our regular Jazzmaster trem system. If you remove these 6 screws, it would look like this. Something that I thought was interesting is if you lift up the pick guard, the blue stripe design does go all the way to the cavity. It doesn't go in the center though. So if you don't mind modifying 60s specs, I think it'd be cool to get a custom pick guard that carves that area away so you can see a little bit more of our stripes.
The body's made of basswood, so that's not necessarily a 60s correct spec, but a lot of Fender Japan guitars are made that way. That's how they save a little bit of money. But we still have our maple neck with a true rosewood fretboard. We have 21 vintage style frets, they call them, and you can see what this board looks like after I've conditioned it. I just love these red streaks. They just give the guitar character, so even if somebody steals your guitar, you've got something that'll help you identify it. But we're rocking a 25.5-inch scale length with a 9.5-inch fretboard radius, with our bone nut measuring 1.63 inches, and by the 12th it reads 2.02. First fret neck depth 0.89 and 0.91 by the 12th, very skinny. The spec sheet calls it a U-shaped neck, so it kind of looks really big and chunky, but it's because it's got a lot of shoulder to it. And then by the back, it's a little bit flat, but not too crazy. Here's that neck profile at the 1st fret and the 12th fret. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. How it has that slightly flat bit at the end of the neck, but it really just feels like a C-shaped neck that just has a little bit more shoulder to it. As far as the headstock, again, we've got our matching color. We've got the Jazzmaster Wispy Winds Fender logo. And I like how they stylized the paint over the edge of the fretboard there. And we've got the vintage style poke it down, wrap it around tuners with a string tree. Moving on to the backside, we don't have too much to talk about, except for our usual comfort cut back here, and a 4 bolt-on neck, and a strap button down here by the end of our stripes, and the other one at the top side of the horn. The back of the neck has a lot of nice ringy wood grain, especially right here, but it's more of a natural finish. It hasn't been tinted too much, or really at all. But here's our serial number, 23 standing for 2023, made in Japan, and there's our vintage style tuners. All said and done, it weighs 7 pounds, 12 ounces. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how this one sounds.
I forgot how much I love Jazzmaster pickups. That's like my dream guitar, a Les Paul Custom with pure vintage 65 Jazzmasters. And even though I'm a big pure vintage 65 guy, these pickups actually sound phenomenally good for what they are. It's that real grittiness on the low strings that I love about them. Bridge pickup. Maybe not my favorite, but the combination's great. Now let's try the rhythm circuit. So now I'm curious, does that sound any different? Here's neck pickup on rhythm. Neck pickup on lead. Yeah, that's a big difference right there. Rhythm circuit's much less gritty. Personally, I could care less about that, but when it was first introduced, I'm sure it had its place. Now let's kick on some dirt. I love how aggressive this thing is. That rhythm circuit kind of comes in handy though if you don't want it to sound quite as aggressive. That's what I was just demonstrating right there. Now that we know all about this Jazzmaster, what are my final thoughts on this thing? For me personally, I could care less about the racing stripe on it. It doesn't do much for me, but for other people, maybe it does. But it's just a nice blinding white finish with a matching headstock. And it's got absolutely phenomenal sounding pickups. Especially at this price, I definitely would not suggest replacing those, and having the lead rhythm circuit could be beneficial to certain people. So from a playability and tone-wise, yeah, this gets my stamp of approval. It's a lot of fun. It makes me really want to try that blue one with the block inlays now, so if anybody wants to do a new guitar day / forwarding service on one of those, I'll gladly do the review and demo. But alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed taking a look at this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow on the next episode. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.